Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of That Was Us. I'm your host here, Sterling K. Brown, Amanda Lee Moore, Christopher Sullivan. But gang, we feel collectively like Ahab up in this piece because we have landed Moby motherfucking Dick up in this. Justin Hartley is in the house!
Yeah, I finally made it. We have a complete set of cast members.
We've done everybody now, Justin being the last. Dude, how the hell are you?
I'm good, man. I've never been better.
It
I'm
is
great.
so good
It's so good to see you.
Oh, good to see you too. You too as well.
You
You
look
three as well.
fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
Justin jumps from #1 TV shows to #1 TV shows.
That's all he does.
That's kind of just
Yeah.
like
Easier.
his thing
It's
right
easier
now.
to keep up.
It's easy just so he knows. It's just one number.
Yeah.
Just do one.
The reason it's taken so long
Yes.
to get you here is because you've been out of country.
Yes.
I've been out of country. I've been in Canada.
You've been in,
yes,
You make it sound like I've
Yeah.
been.
But you've
Well,
been there.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, going from an ensemble where we sort of all collectively take turns sort of like, leading and supporting whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You the man. Tracker, Cole, you the man. What is the pros and the cons of being the man? How does it compare and contrast to your former television experience?
It's a little different.
slightly different.
It's a little different. I sometimes have to.
He's checking his
Yeah,
phone.
it's just like gosh, pros and cons. Look, This Is Us I've been parts of ensembles before.
Yeah.
Sure.
This Was Us was different than anything I've ever done. Probably anything that I will ever do.
Sure.
I love Tracker. I love what we do. I love the opportunity that I was given to do something on This Is Us and then something completely different. Because a lot of times, you know how this business is. They try to
Yeah,
everybody
like pigeonhole you.
They do because
Sure.
and people find comfort in that, right? Like
Right.
you see somebody do something and you're familiar with that, and that's kind of how you see them. I think everyone does that.
Yeah.
But I got an opportunity to do something completely different, which is great.
Yeah.
So I love that. The time that you spend on it, honestly, I think it might be the same, except I remember This Is Us. A lot of the time that I spent on This Is Us was thinking about the show, thinking about the character, trying to come up with, trying to figure it out.
Yeah. The psychology, the motivation,
all of that.
Yeah.
It was a lot of studying, a lot of work, but a lot of it was done on my own time.
Sure.
This is a lot of, I'm on set all the time.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
You don't have any free time anymore.
Yeah.
No, I do a lot of running, jumping, kicking. I'm always dinged up. But it's
This is the life of a
price
tracker.
to doing business. It's the life of a tracker.
Well, what do you
What'd you expect?
think there's going to be no running?
No,
It's all running.
yeah,
A lot of running.
I know. I've done running, swimming, jumping, hiking, everything.
Yeah.
Guns. No babies. There's no twins yet.
Yeah.
Yet.
There you go.
But a lot of driving.
And you guys do the driving practical or like with the whole
We do
sort of
both.
green screen? Okay.
We do both. We'll do some on the road, depending on what we're doing, and then some of it we have this. I say we bought like it's my money. They bought this really expensive, huge, like projection. I don't even understand it. I don't even understand it. There are.
Like a surround LED.
It's almost like a
It's
sphere
that,
sort
but
of
it's
thing.
also it's weird. It's like you look around and nothing looks like it fits, and then when you watch it,
Yeah.
it all.
Seamless.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
what I saw when I saw this big screen I was like Super Bowl party. That's what I saw. But they had other ideas
With
for
nobody
it.
else, just you
I'm
in a
like,
lawn
just
chair
me by myself.
in the middle of this
Everybody
room.
get out. It's just me, alone time.
Your season, so wait, first season, 13? Did you do
We did 13 because that's the strike.
you 13?
We did 13. We
strike?
started late, and then last season was 20, and
20.
then next season we're doing 22.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I'm doing this now before I die.
So this is what's
We can
interesting.
this will be my last podcast
Last
ever.
interview.
Yeah.
I'll ask
Last
you
time
this.
we see you.
So I do a little bit of running and jumping and all this type
Yeah.
of stuff. We're roughly the same age or whatnot. Like, how does it feel? I mean, do you feel good? I know you take care of yourself exceptionally well, but it still hits different a little bit when we get to a certain age. Yeah.
I think it's about the prep, really. Right?
Yes.
Don't you find that? I mean, you
Yes.
work out a lot as well.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you have kids.
Yeah.
And you work out a lot. And
No,
your
I
kids.
don't.
You don't?
Mandy just climbs
No.
mountains.
Man.
That's
No,
it.
I haven't in a long time. That was like pre-pandemic.
How many mountains have you climbed though?
A few, but no, it's been a long time.
So-
Mandy,
plural
tell
is
these
correct.
people how many mountains you've
don't
climbed.
know.
Plural.
I mean,
know
is it more,
exactly how
a
many
few?
mountains.
Probably 3 or 4, right?
Three or four.
Three or four.
3 or 4.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm at 0.
I'm
I'm at 0. 0 mountains climbed.
0 mountains.
But I think what it is honestly is things you don't think about when you're young. Like I feel great,
Yes.
but the things you don't think about when you're younger, like recovery, right?
Prep and recovery.
Sure.
I was about to
Prep
say
and
the same
recovery.
thing.
So before I go to do something crazy, I will make sure that I understand what I'm doing. I don't want to get injured because if
Yes.
you get injured when you're 22,
Everything-
you're fine in like 2
Bounce
weeks.
right back.
Yeah. If you get injured when you're 34, like myself,
Yes. It takes like 3 or 4 weeks.
it takes 3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks.
Understand.
And you don't want to be who's going to find these people?
That's right.
Somebody got a track.
That's right.
I got you.
You know,
I got
right.
you.
So yeah, these are things that you think about.
I feel
Yeah.
you. I feel you.
You have to preserve enough energy for making love at the end of the day.
Come on now.
You know, if you can.
If you
I
can,
If
try
you can.
to.
bare
It's-
minimum.
It gets harder.
I
bare
try
minimum.
to.
Bare minimum.
Okay, so in terms of your journey with the show, because we always ask everybody, how did the show come to you? What was your initial sort of process of reading it, et cetera? Just talk to us about the beginnings of how This Is Us came into your life.
Mine was very interesting. So I had, to be totally honest with you, I had been doing show after show after show, kind of bouncing around all over. I had a really young daughter at the time. She's 20 now, by the way.
She's 20.
My God, yeah.
Did she decide to do the modeling thing, or what she?
No, she's not doing the model. She's in college. She's like a straight A student. She's in college. She's unbelievable.
I love it.
Yeah, she has one more year left, and then she's like gonna probably rule the world.
my
It's
gosh.
unbelievable.
Lord have mercy.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm traveling all over the place. I'm doing show after show. A lot of them are kind of cusp shows where they're, I did Smallville where we knew that was going to go for a while.
Sure.
And I'm traveling and I finally look at my daughter and I'm like, gosh, like I'm missing a lot of the stuff I don't want to miss.
Yeah.
And also on top of that, it was like, you pour your heart and soul into a pilot and then it doesn't go. And then you
Yeah.
pour your heart and soul into another pilot and it doesn't go. Then you pour your heart and soul into a series and it goes like a year and all of that.
Right.
And I had this opportunity to work in LA and I'd done soaps before.
Yeah.
And I thought about it. I was like, I had some friends that were on this show, Young and the Restless.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, maybe I'll go do that. I can be in LA. I can be with my daughter. I can make money.
Yeah.
I can act. So I did that. And to be quite honest with you, I was going to do that forever. I was like going to do that and hang around with my daughter and just do that. And then my buddy calls me, my buddy Michael Rady, who's actually on Tracker now.
Okay.
He calls me and he's like, "Hey, did you read this Dan Fogelman pilot? Do you know him?" And I go, I've told this story before, but it's worth telling again.
It is worth telling.
I don't
said,
know if
come
I
on.
know this story.
I said, yeah, I know him. And he goes, "How long have you known him?" And I said, no, I know of him. I don't, I don't know
not
him. We're not, but I've never
Yeah.
really met him. I mean, I
Yeah.
met him once, I think, at an audition or something. And he goes, "Oh, really? Because I think he might have written you." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" And I was aware that he had this baseball pilot that he was
Pitch.
doing. Yeah.
Yep.
And he goes, "I'm going to send this thing to you. Just, don't tell anyone I sent it to you." Anyway, he sends me this script and I start reading it right away. And I got to like the first, second, third page and I was like, oh my God, he wrote me. Like, how is he doing this? I'm Jack Pearson. It's unbelievable. It's me. I'm exactly.
Clearly.
I'm like, I do everything for my daughter. It's amazing. This is incredible.
This is awesome.
If I had this, this is holy cow. And it's a great character. And this
Yeah.
is like, it's going to be a beloved character. Look at what he's doing this all over. He's unbelievable. Everything he's doing is perfect. Holy shit, I'm I'm not Jack at all. Oh, my friend thinks I'm Kevin. Oh, I gotta call my friend. What? Wait, what have I done? I'm not a selfish, what's happening? And then I got to the end and I was like, wait a minute, this is actually, this character, if this show works, is going to be this huge, magnificent arc that I don't think I don't even know if I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
But I have to try to go get this thing.
So wait, hold on. Now, did you think your friend? Did you talk? In hindsight, did he say he thought you were Jack? Did he say he thought you were Kevin?
He didn't say. He ended up saying Kevin.
He did say Kevin.
Yeah, but he had read the whole script before he
Right.
gave it to me, and I had not. As I was flipping through it, I was like,
Yeah.
this guy. What do you mean? I think he's like, why is he in bed with two strange women on his birthday? He doesn't have any friends. He's surrounded by strangers. He threw this big party for himself. Family's not there. Why does he have a shirt off? These two women.
Shirt off.
And they're like ready to go. He's talking about himself.
Kevin, I'll tell you, Kevin, I'll tell you why he has his shirt off with two women. First of all, if that's the mystery, I can solve that. That's what two people do when they love each other very much.
Three people.
That's what three people do when they love each other very much.
Yeah.
They take their shirts off in
Yeah,
bed.
I mean, they had clothes on. He was like,
They dance sort of with each other. They talk about the space shuttle challenge.
But that's sort of what happened. That's how I
But you were like, I have to get this.
I gotta
have
try.
to audition.
Yeah.
you know, and I remember when I finally saw the audition scene, it was the Challenger explosion. It was this crisis that he was going through, and
Sure.
he was having this breakdown. And I remember reading that, and I just thought it was so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it's so tragically funny.
sure.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
and I just remember going, I mean, this, I don't even know if like it's that. I mean, it's really funny.
You're very funny in that
And
show.
I don't think the guy, I don't think it's that sad, really. And I remember thinking, is there something wrong with me? Because this is, I guess it's really sad, but I thought it was hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what he's bringing up on his birthday while he's dancing with like scantily clad
Yeah,
women.
He's about ready to, he's over.
Yeah.
I have
yeah.
to say, like to your point, reading that pilot, I was constantly struck by, like, I was laughing
Yeah.
all the way
Throughout,
through
yeah.
it. And it took me a minute to be like, oh my God, you guys make me cry so hard. Like it just took a minute because like, I read it. And I was like, the funny was the thing that hit me.
Yeah.
And I realized that there was going to be a moment where people were going to get the feels. But
Yeah.
the feels are the things that the people sort of emphasize to us.
Yeah.
And we're like, this shit is really funny.
So
People
funny.
remember.
Yeah.
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 I mean, specifically you guys, you too, Sterling.
I'll
But
take
you
it a
know what I
little bit.
mean? Like you
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
are really bring the levity to the show.
Yeah.
That was fun
Throughout.
for us. When we got to play, it was
Almost impossible.
almost impossible.
Almost impossible. That's why I don't think it continued very often.
Well,
it was
I got to be honest. Like I think I would go home sometimes having the greatest. I would work with this man. I would have the greatest time. Same with you. And by the way, I mostly got to work with you.
Yeah.
You're gorgeous, even as an older woman. But like this, I never ever got to
No,
work with
neither
you
like
like
no.
this.
Yeah.
No.
None
And I
of
love,
us
Only
got
I
mom.
love working with Mandy so much that like, and this is how I work. I'm like, when the show's over, I was like, I could probably do a show with Mandy because I've never really worked with Mandy like that.
That's true.
I think
Yeah.
I do right away.
Yeah. Right
You
now.
love interest right away.
Right now.
You're like,
This
that's
is-
your mom, and I'm like, but not like that.
Me,
But not like that.
we
Yeah.
had this
Same thing about
conversation.
you. So we love interest.
I would love to be. This is why I brought you here.
Listen, me, Justin, and Mandy had this conversation about like, could I be a love interest to Mandy? And I was like, I don't know. Like, she's been my mom for like
there's a
6
slight
years.
pause of like,
Yeah,
could it work?
yeah.
It's
And
been enough time.
Justin was like, oh, it's fine.
What are you talking about?
He's like, it'd be fun.
She took the prosthetics off.
Yeah.
I'll put some on.
Or yeah, a little more.
Perfect. Perfect.
Oh, a whole different story.
works.
Whole different
So
story.
okay, wait.
Yeah.
So then the audition. Do you know anybody else who was up for the gig, or do you just know that you had your audition and you
Gosh,
got it?
you know what? I don't remember. No, there were other people. I don't remember. I don't remember how many or who they were.
Did you go into like a callback or like
Or
a
a chemistry
like,
test?
Yeah,
Did you
like
ever
any chemistry
read?
I
test?
didn't have a. I did. Let's see. I went in once at the Radford lot.
yeah, I
and
remember that's where we
Yeah,
auditioned.
John and Glenn were
Radford.
there with
Yeah.
Dan
Yep.
and a couple other people, and then I came back and they taped me again.
But never with anybody else. Never,
Never with anybody else. And then
You didn't read with Chrissy or?
Oh wait, you know what? I read for Chrissy, but I already had the part.
Oh, got it.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
You were cast already.
I forgot about that. I already had the part, I think, and I read with Chrissy. I don't remember if I read with anyone else. I think I might have read with a couple other people. I'm not
Sure.
sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a long time ago, wasn't it?
yeah,
A minute.
I still have it in my calendar. I don't remember exactly what the day was, but I still have it in my calendar every year. It goes ding, and it reminds me this is the day you audition for This Is Us.
Really?
Wow. I love that.
And I used to do this thing where I would call Dan or text him,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and he would always be like, "Oh, you're so sweet." And then year two, he's like, "You're so sweet." And like year four, we're still on the show, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Dude," and he's like, "You just." I know.
Please stop.
And then year five, he didn't. He
blocked you.
I got nothing back.
Yeah. He blocked
And
you.
I was like, okay, he's got it.
The
Block this
He
number.
text
gave
went
you.
green.
He gave you his wife. That was
that's
his love language. He's like,
Speaking
you,
of-
you may have
wait a
my
minute,
life,
speaking of love interest.
wife to
Maybe reword that a little
to
bit.
impregnate on the show. on the show. That's
Here's
what
my
I meant.
gift. Here's my gift to you.
Let me. So I'm gonna ask one more question, and
What
I'm
did you
gonna be
guys get?
quiet. I'm gonna be
No,
quiet
it's Sterling.
because as we've already
Sterling.
established this.
What'd you guys get?
I talk a lot. I don't get anything. Here's my question to you. This is something that we've sort of rediscovered in watching the show. Is sort of there's a constant or a consistent underestimation of Kevin, right? From the beginning. And then you're sort of given these wonderful moments of like, oh, you think Kevin is this shallow sort of surface Hollywood playboy dude, et cetera, and then you get 105, which is the painting.
Oh,
And
yeah.
you get this, like, do we all say, like, it's one of the top moments in the history of the show. It's like when Kev describes the painting, and it's like, oh, that's the show.
Yeah, it
Like, that's what it
unlocks
is.
the show.
It unlocks the show.
Yeah.
I'm curious for you, like, what it was like to sort of like, you have like the surface idea, but you have these still waters that run deep. And I think you and Kevin sort of parallel in that way. I think people probably underestimate you in terms of your intelligence, your artistic creativity, et cetera. And then every once in a while you just drop something on them and people will be like, oh shit. Like this
That's
is a
undeniable.
fully realized human being that thinks deeply about the world that he inhabits, right? I'm just curious, like, what your journey was with the character.
You're probably totally right. I just got him.
Yeah.
Just now.
Yeah.
No. I mean, when I read it, I just got it. I was like, oh, I get this guy.
Yeah.
I
If
get
it
it.
was just now.
I wish we could
3
read.
years later.
Damn
it all
it, I
made
would have done
sense.
it totally different.
Wait a minute. It wasn't that funny, was it?
Why did I think
Challenger
it was
was
so
sad.
funny?
Oh, man.
Huh.
You think you got him because you related to him? Like you found
Yeah,
that camaraderie
I
and,
try
like-
I try to do that with every character I play, and
Yeah.
and sometimes I guess more than others, and I think all actors do that. You try to figure out where they're coming from, and I think for me it was just easier for me to see where he was coming from. I think coupled with that was also, he's underestimated for sure, but I also remember thinking, he's expected to be a certain way, and I guess that's he's underestimated in some regard, but also he's just expected to be like he'll go to a party and he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He'll find the girl. He'll do whatever. He's gonna have a great night.
Right.
And that's also not true. Right? You walk into a room and people they just judge you based on they don't know anything about you. Never heard you speak.
Sure.
And I think that was an interesting take on Kevin. I played him a little larger than life.
You think you did?
I played him a little larger than life in this way. I sort of wanted the way that he, and I think it was written this way also. I wanted the way that he walked through life to be way bigger than what he thought of himself, until it got to a point where he sort of started to see himself.
Yeah.
And then I think he could exhale a little bit and come back down to earth and be a real human. And that was kind of how I
That tracks.
approached it.
That
wow.
That tracks.
That's fascinating.
Yeah, the podcast up until now, I know you've been listening every
Every episode.
has been a Justin Hartley fan club.
It really
is.
Like we have marveled at your performance.
It's extraordinary.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
It really is.
you guys, I got these like, I don't know if you guys got these while you were on the show, but they were like, did you ever see like there were like pamphlets? Dan and I are tight. You guys call him Dan. I call him Danny. Danny
I call
F.
him Foggy.
Danny F.
I call
Danny
him
F.
Foggy.
I know his middle name.
Andrew.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
That's my son's name.
I know.
His middle name is
I don't know
Eric.
that.
Is it?
Eric.
Yeah. I
Daniel
was like, that didn't sound
Eric.
very tribe of Jacob to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he call him Ricky?
No, I call him DF.
Ricky
that's
Fogs?
good.
I just go DF.
Ricky Fogs.
Yeah. But when I was on the show, I would get these, and I appreciate it, you guys saying that, but I would get these like little, they're like pamphlets that they have literally like all the words, like not only your words, but they have like all the other characters' words. And if you,
You talking about the sides?
no, it's
Like
like
a
the whole
full
show.
script.
You flip through it, and it's like if you
script.
watch the script, yeah. And you just, well, if you read it,
Yeah?
It's all there.
It's all
it's
right.
all there.
Wait a
Yeah.
second.
Swear to
So
God.
you're
They
saying
gave you...
And if you
They
memorize,
give you
wrote
the
your
whole
words
thing.
down
What
for
you're
you?
telling
right?
me-
They will type them down.
They type them down.
Then they put them in order,
And
then
then
they put the other characters also, and they have all of it.
This is why everyone looks so confused by what I was saying.
It's unbelievable.
Because I never saw
it's
these.
It's really helpful.
You didn't read the script?
87%.
The script, yeah.
87%.
The script. 87. Wait, so this is good. Hold on, real quick. So Sully and I have this thing about when you get the script. Like, are you a dead letter perfect person or not? Mandy tends to err towards like, she's like, I'm gonna say what's on here, whatnot. Milo,
Say what's on the page more or less.
I'm gonna say what's on it more or less. Sully and I are about it, like, we have like an 87% rules. Like, I'm pretty much gonna say what's there. But if in the moment something sort of like comes up that feels organic and in line with what's happening, I'm like, I'm not gonna allow myself not to say it.
Yeah.
Where do you fall?
13%. From my experience. That's just me. You're hard to follow. You're hard to follow. But I can keep up.
You just let me get in for that cue line. I'm listening for the
Gee,
cue.
what the fuck is he going to say? Here we go. All right. My favorite days.
Yeah.
Pew, pew.
You never know what,
From the hip.
what kind of mood is he in? No.
We'll be right back with more That Was Us.
This summer, we're going up to San Francisco to celebrate a birthday. We're going down to San Diego to celebrate a birthday. And we are going to have to set up a place to stay. There's something about summer, that just brings people together.
Exactly. And whenever I travel, especially with my family, I always look for a place that feels welcoming. I'm going to be working in Atlanta this summer. I want my kids, my family to come visit me. You bet I will be finding an Airbnb that is comfortable, that has a great kitchen, that has plenty of room for everybody, plenty of outdoor space. Those are all sort of part of my checklist. So much better than staying in a hotel. I need to have the creature comforts of home.
Absolutely.
LFG. And that's why staying at an Airbnb is so great. It's not just a roof over your head. It's having a kitchen for late night snacks, maybe a backyard to hang out, a place to just be together.
And if you're heading out on a trip this summer, it's a great time to think about hosting your home while you're away. Someone else could get that same feeling of home while you're off making new memories.
Hosting on Airbnb is practical, simple, and it lets your home keep working for you while you're traveling.
Your home might be worth more than you think. Find out how much at airbnb.com/host.
If you've ever watched your cat sniff their food, look offended, and walk away, guess what? You're not alone, buddy.
That's a cat for you.
Cats are picky.
Yep.
But they know what's good, huh? And that's why they love Smalls.
Smalls is fresh. It's protein-packed cat food made with ingredients you'd recognize from your fridge. No weird byproducts, no preservatives, just real food delivered to your door. It's no wonder Cats.com named Smalls their best overall cat food.
We live with 3 very, very picky cats. I'm telling you, I used to go to the pet store and buy multiple brands, every different flavor, and somehow, some way, someone didn't like something, and that is not the case with Smalls. We have less hairballs, we have more energy, and honestly, we have cats that like this food and are eating this food, which is all I ask at this given point.
Yeah.
Yes. No.
Cats gotta eat.
Yeah, we're big Smalls fans in our house.
Smalls started as a small batch project between 2 guys cooking for their friends' cats. Now, they've served millions of meals across the U.S.
I love that, man. For a limited time only, because you are a That Was Us listener, you can get 60% off your first order of Smalls plus free shipping by using our code TWU. That's 60% off when you head to smalls.com and use promo code TWU.
Again, that's promo code TWU for 60% off your first order plus free shipping at smalls.com.
Look, I think on a show like This Is Us, you try to be as... Dan is such a good writer that you try to be 100.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was doing that meltdown scene, but on the set, Kevin was having a meltdown.
Yes.
And he left the set and he threw the baby and all that kind of stuff. He's yelling at the audience. And Dan came over to me, and I think I was word for word. And Dan came over to me and he goes, it's the pilot, right?
Yeah, that was the pilot.
And he came over and he goes, hey, you know what? Everything that's on here is like, you got it. Like, you got the intention. I think you just go nuts.
Yeah.
So like whatever comes out of your mouth.
Wow.
And I got permission from him.
That feels so good.
And then I was like, okay, great. I got permission from the man to do, okay, great, here we go.
Yeah.
And I don't know what percentage we did a few takes. I don't know what percentage he used of things that I made up and things that he wrote. I have no idea. It'd be interesting to go back and look at it. It's probably pretty right on. But I don't know. It's a better question for you guys. You've worked with me.
You're a good tag man, though.
Yeah.
There's always a good tag.
There's always those little buttons on scenes. Where
Totally.
That's a good Justin. That's a button. That's a Justin. That's a Justin button right there. Yeah.
I had so much fun. Yeah. I had so much fun on that show.
No, stop, Brown. Go ahead, guys.
What?
No, Sterling.
What? Say it.
Someone told Sterling that he talks too much on the show, and
Who
so now
told
he
you
gets
Exactly.
his
Exactly.
wife. And,
She told
and we
He
disagree.
doesn't listen to the show.
But she just
better.
knew.
better.
She was like, he's like, what do you think of the show? She hasn't seen it. He's like,
You
she's like,
probably
you're talking too much.
I know this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't listen, but I know this. You're talking too much.
Too much, Sterling. Go, Sterling. Go. Go.
What were you going to say?
I wanted to talk about one of our favorite episodes is the Big Three first trilogy.
Is it 208?
Yeah, I think it's 208, which is entitled Number One, which is your episode.
Right.
It's masterful, bro.
Yeah.
Masterful.
I mean, we texted
The
you.
losing-
we
the
texted
losing
Yeah,
of the
we
necklace.
sent you that video,
Yeah.
Justin. It's like
Yeah.
top 3
Like, we're
favorite episodes
not-
of the whole series.
fucking around.
Thank you.
And I'll say
You
this
guys
again.
dropped
They
that
gave you.
bombs
They
on the
gave you a
podcast.
script. They
We
gave
will.
you a script for that one.
I did. I got a script for that
Cool.
one.
Cool.
Wow.
I got a script for all of them.
I remember. So
Lucky.
It was crazy.
in particular,
a
in
lot of
season
reading.
2, I remember they brought Ryan Leaf into the writers' room. Or you brought Ryan Leaf,
Yeah, Ryan. So Ryan was a
NFL quarterback.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Ryan
please.
was an NFL quarterback. He's drafted, I think, second overall. Number one, I think first was Peyton Manning. Number 2 was Ryan Leaf.
There you go.
And it could have gone the other way. I mean, it was like these guys were like,
Yeah.
We could have had Peyton in the writers' room,
we could have had, you could have had Peyton Manning right here. So
but he can't write.
he can't. Yeah, he's not. He can't act.
That's a different
on
story.
This Is Us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should have had Peyton Manning on
Stop.
This Is Us.
Tell
Honestly, that would've been awesome.
him why you brought Ryan Leaf.
Okay,
in.
so
This is cool.
Ryan has a really unique story. Ryan and I became friends. We started working out at this gym together, and we became friends. And he has this really unique story that's similar in ways to what Kevin was going through,
Sure.
an addiction and all that stuff. And he's still to this day, he goes around the country and he speaks to colleges and you have to ask him. He speaks to everybody, and he's an open book. Part of the reason why he's so lovely and so I think effective is that he'll tell you everything.
Yeah.
I think. And he's genuine about wanting to help people. But he's also been through it.
Yeah.
So he came into the writer's room and was explaining to them, and everyone was just so captivated. I mean, it was like, I think he was in there for an hour. It seemed like about 3 minutes. And everyone was like, and these are writers that are going to write Kevin's addiction problem and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, this is what I went through, blah, 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 the whole thing. I mean, and he left out nothing. And it was just, you could have heard a pin drop. And then he gets up and he walks out with me. We walk back to our car, and Ryan's like, I think he's like,
He's taller than you,
he's
which is
like
hard.
6'6"
hard
or
to do.
6'7" or so. He's
Yeah.
massive dude. And yeah, I asked him to do that. I asked him if he would, and he immediately was like, sure.
How did you know him?
I met him at the gym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, met him at the gym. Which, by the way, I'm working out with Ryan Leaf and like NFL. I have no business working out with these people.
Yeah, you do.
No.
Yeah, you do.
They're doing.
Stop. Justin's a beast.
Yeah.
Justin is like.
I've seen YouTube compilations of your workouts.
Yeah.
I watch them all the time.
I've seen the.
I watch them all the time.
What was
Justin.
was
Thank
it a
you.
5-foot box jump?
Oh, yeah. I
Was it
remember
5
that.
feet?
I remember that video.
I don't know.
It was high.
The push-up box jump.
It wasn't a push-up. He just came from the ground,
And just
it was.
jumps like a.
like
Well,
a gazelle.
levitated.
And I'm
I saw a
African
different- I saw a
American.
different
I
video.
was impressed. I thought that it was up top. Let's just in terms of that storyline and sort of leading into that episode 1. There's a couple of things that number 1 episode 208, I believe it is. Talk to us, because I remember. I think. Sully, were you with us? John and Glenn were going to take us out to their restaurant, their seafood restaurant.
Yeah, we sat in the kitchen.
And Justin was like, no, I can't go. Like, I got
gotta
something
prepare.
to do the next day. So Justin took his preparation incredibly serious. I think we all did, but like he's
Yeah, I
like,
think we all did.
It was a cool night, but he was like, it's a school night for your boy. I got work to do.
Eating dinner was part of my preparation, so
There you go.
it worked out.
There's a few like sort of seminal scenes, and I remember talking to Sully about this and this idea sometimes. I feel kind of like Kevin in this way in life, Sterling, that there's this assumption because you are on TV, the Manny's on TV, you come into people's lives all the time, that they have a feeling that they know you in a sense of like, oh, like you're not there on your time, you're there kind of on their time for their benefit. And to a certain extent, that's true. But you sort of lose this idea that I'm a human being who is like fallible and makes mistakes and et cetera. But it's like whatever Kev did in that moment, everybody just saw as like awesome and wonderful. And he's trying to say like, I'm not awesome. I'm not wonderful right now.
Yeah, like take me off the pedestal.
Take me off the pedestal for a minute. And by doing that, he sort of got elevated even more. So like it was this feeling of like trying to be seen as a human being, right? But sort of the celebrity almost strips you of humanity to a small extent.
Yeah.
And so like just talk about that process. And then there's certain scenes with the coach and Jack sort of interacting.
Yeah, that like 360.
It almost seems like you did a Michelle Gondry sort of thing where like one person would step in and the other person would step out. Talk to me about on the football field and sort of reenacting that.
And then the breakdown
and
on
then
the
going
front
back
lawn
for the
begging
motherfucking
for your necklace.
bro. Like,
I actually still can't talk about that.
Really?
No.
I kind of get emotional
makes
thinking
sense.
about it
That
too.
makes
It's like,
So there's a couple of things that I have in my life that I use that I won't talk about because I feel like if I talk about them, then they won't work.
Sure.
yeah.
And they're awful, painful,
Yeah.
but beautiful, and forever gone. So I won't talk about them, but because I need them.
Yeah.
But you know that was the Jack thing on the stage. That was he was coming off. He didn't have any pills left.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was itching. He was coming down off all these drugs, and he was in a bad way.
Yeah.
I think he went to that girl's place. Kind of, and not to manipulate her, but to hopefully get some pills and
Yeah. Oh,
get
yeah.
a prescription.
It was a real
into the-
desperate.
yeah.
It was like,
Desperate.
I mean, so he was dying. I just thought Kevin's dying, and maybe never can come back from this. And then got the prescription and like, oh God, this is great. And then he reaches down for his dad, right? And it was almost like that was the first time he was sober.
Yeah.
In months probably.
Right.
And then he went back. It was just, it was so well written, actually.
Yeah.
It really was. I mean, a lot, and Ken was, a lot of that was just showing up and really believing what is in the script, the pamphlet, and saying 13% of the words. And
said more. KJ wrote those
But
words.
also, like, what an alignment of stars. Like, I don't know her name right now, but the woman that you were paired with, the way she played everything in that episode, against you, is such a beautiful.
I think so too, because it's tough to, because he didn't look right.
No,
but I think the way that and you did this too. I think everyone did it. You did it too. I mean, the Kevin didn't look good. He looked like shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, people were like, well, wouldn't they say something?
no.
It's like, no, you know why? Because he's got his family and his wife and his job and his this, and you've got your kids with this and that thing and the marriage and the girl, and everyone's got their stuff.
Yeah.
And I think that's real. I think people really do that. And when you look back on things, you go, oh, like something awful happens, and you go, oh, I should have seen that coming. And if I would have been paying attention, maybe I would have.
Yeah.
So I thought that was very, very real. But yeah, I agree with you. She did a great job because she was all into the other stuff.
It's
right?
a roll of the dice, right? Too, when someone comes on for an episode, you're like, I hope this actor shows up the day I'm showing up.
Yeah. And shows up in the way I'm showing up. And she did.
There's also
she
a
really
wonderful
did.
misdirect in that episode because on the football field, when he finishes with the thing, the young lady who got him to come to the school
Right.
comes up
You're
and
like,
asks,
oh no,
"Do you
Kevin.
want a
Oh
party?"
no.
And I was like, as somebody who didn't remember what happened next, I was like, this shit is not about to happen.
Yeah. Thank goodness.
Thank
That was a
goodness.
good misdirect.
I'm done now. I've done
Yeah,
my
No.
I'm done. And we just sit here
That
quietly.
episode just
Anyways, bud, good
continues
to
to
see you.
floor us.
So good to see you. Can I have another hug? No, I think that's interesting, right? Like you're talking about somebody walking through this world who needs help, right? And each character in this show needs a different kind of help at a different point in their story. And part of the reason why people attach so much to this show, so much to the emotion of it, is because not because they think they know that character, but because that character in some way helps them get to know themselves a little bit better, or their relationships a little bit better, right? And there's something about Kevin that is so comforting because of the way he is written and portrayed. There's a somberness to his narcissism. Narcissism is too violent of a word. His self indulgence, his self doubt.
Yeah, it's all wrapped up in the same. It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
But we all are, to an extent. And I think that's the big struggle of life, is to get out of ourselves, to turn and connect, and to turn and be of service, and to turn and raise children, and to stop running around the country doing TV shows, and to figure out a way to be with your daughter, or whatever the thing is. And that's one of the biggest struggles, is to get out of your own head
And your way.
and reconnect, which is why I think Kevin is like just is one of my favorite touch points of this show, because he seems to have it all, right? He answers that question of like,
At first
what
glance,
if you were famous,
right,
and rich, and beautiful?
Well,
that's just my opinion.
just
Just
take
one
it.
man's.
Just
That's
take
one
it,
man's
just
just one
opinion.
man's opinion.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you're not struggling with the same
Right.
things that everyone else is struggling
Right.
with.
and on top of that, one of the cool things, well, not cool things, but one of the interesting things about Kevin, I thought, was, there's no audience to hear him.
Right.
He's not going to. People don't feel sorry for guys like that,
Yeah.
Right.
and that's not fair.
Yeah.
And but it's the way the world works, right?
Yeah.
And so he doesn't have anybody to talk to,
Right.
which I thought was is so sad,
Right.
except himself. And so
Right.
you just keep burrowing down in it.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
on one of these old, like, depressing grunge rock songs,
Yeah.
and you're just
Right.
like, Jesus.
It's all the nature of addiction too, right? Like Kevin is not addicted to one thing. He's just an addict.
Addicted
As you point out to the
personality, sure.
family, it's like we're a family of addicts in one way or another, whether it's anxiety or food or love, the number of relationships he goes through. And so he's constantly reaching for this external reinforcement or external validation or numbing, or like all of the answers for him are outside of himself.
Right.
And then there's this moment where he's alone, and you're right, he has no one, and there's no one to talk to except himself. And it's the beginning of, everything I need is here, is inside, it's internal, it's with relationship to our ancestors or the ghost of your father or whatever the thing is. And it brings us now where we are in the story to this, like, this relationship with Zoe is like is at least watching it is where that shift happens that I think you were talking about, where he starts to like drop in.
Yeah, he does, and he starts to think about kids,
Yeah.
and himself in 10 years,
Right.
and the people around, how he wants to, how he wants his life to be, and
Right.
what's important to him starts to change a bit.
Yeah, he starts to show up for his brother.
Oh, yeah.
For all the campaign stuff.
Big time. He grows up. He starts growing up,
Yeah.
and really quickly, I think in that relationship, I don't know is this the right phrase, like, because did he grow out of it really? I mean, I want to say he kind of grew out of it, but he had this. He woke up and he was like, I don't think I've been dating the right people.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That realization.
I remember, wasn't it like she didn't want kids was the thing, and that's a big deal, and something that you don't. And it sounds nuts, but it's true. I've been in relationships before where that didn't get brought up until much later, and it's like, well, we probably should have talked about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a big deal, And then you go, why didn't we talk about this?
Mm-hmm.
That is something that you talk about,
Yeah.
kind of right away, or
Yeah.
you should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not when you're young, but when you're planning your life. And I think that was one of the things where he started to realize, he goes, oh wow, I'm starting to see myself as an older man, or what it would be like. What do I want to look like? What do I want my life to look like when I'm 45? Who do I want around me when I'm 50? Where do I want to be?
Yeah.
And that's a very mature way of thinking, considering where we found the guy.
Exactly. He had that flashback. He had that vision of kids with Sophie.
Right.
Yeah.
Where he was
and
just
it was
like,
a nightmare.
Bro,
as
it's a nightmare.
he
And
said
he
it.
told her that. He was like, oh God.
And he was a bit messed up when he said that too.
A little bit.
Yeah.
It's funny to I'm coming from the macro and then I'll come back in. I remember having this conversation with Justin. Like, do you think it would be more interesting for you if you did have, because you have Jack and Rebecca, you have Randall and Beth, you have Katobi, like it's like these relationships, and Justin would be like, no, I don't need one. He's like, I think it'll be more interesting for me as a character, like if he finds it at the end. But I think that's part of like Kevin's journey, is actually being at a place where he is ready and open to receive what it is that he, and it turned out exactly like that.
Yeah. I also thought it was so funny to walk by, because you guys remember we had the trailers we would all share trailers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it would always be like
Kevin and
no, it would be like Toby and Kate.
Yeah.
It'd be like
Randall and Beth.
Randall and
Yes.
Beth. And then
Jack and Rebecca.
Jack and Rebecca.
Yeah.
And then it'd be like Kevin, and then
whoever else
there.
was on set that
Yeah.
day.
Whoever else. It was always
Question
someone
mark.
different.
Yeah.
It was always love interest?
Or
Question mark?
or like director, or like it would always be something,
PA nap room.
And it was
Should have been Kevin and Miguel.
Kevin and
it could have been
Miguel
Kevin and Miguel.
Yeah.
That would have been good.
Kevin and Miguel.
sitting in a tree.
The way you give him shit throughout is just so hilarious to me.
great.
And then it just brings me back to like how much fun we would all have on set.
Yeah.
Like for me specifically, it was like I had my quiet scenes with Milo and the
Yeah.
family. It was like
Yeah.
very different dynamic. And then anytime I was in prosthetics and like present day Rebecca, I was like, oh shit, here we go.
So
Just cracking up all day.
Yeah.
with
I
you
was
guys.
I was on set, and I don't know if you remember this or if I even told you, but I was on set one day, and I think I'm like in the doing background work or something. Like I had like 5 lines or whatever.
Okay.
And it was something big was happening with you and Miguel.
Okay.
Rebecca and Miguel were like cutesy. They were like being cute together.
Mhm.
And I took my phone out and I recorded the two of you like hanging out and like laughing and stuff like that and doing your lines or whatever you're doing. And I sent the video to Milo, and I was like, some bullshit's going on here, man. I swear to Christ, I just thought I'd let you know. And he sends me a video back of him. He's on his motorcycle and he's pulled over. He pulls his helmet off and he's like, some crazy shit, Kev.
You
He's like, I
guys.
appreciate you telling me. He's like, I'll get on it.
I'll be right there.
I'll get on it.
Where are you? Tell me where you are.
Drop a pin. Yeah.
Drop a pin.
Oh my God.
I
That's
used to have so much
hysterical.
fun.
It was a great time.
It really was.
We had
What are some of your like favorite memories, or is there anything that stands out? I mentioned because I remember, was it season 4, New York City with you guys?
Yeah.
yeah.
That was fun.
Sitting at
That-
waiting in the hotel to shoot.
That
Oh
was
my
fun.
God.
I'm in prosthetics.
Yep.
I'm with my like grown adult children in New York City. We're at the Plaza Hotel.
At the Plaza,
That's
yep.
right.
And we just,
Hung out.
we hung out.
Yeah.
We kicked it.
We
That
kicked
was
it.
In
so
between,
much
it was
fun.
like in between scenes or something.
It
So
was.
is it not?
And it was like a
Night
silly
shoot.
thing. It was like you and I having to
We had
just
to
like walk out
We had
to like
walk
the
out.
car
Right.
or
we
something.
had to
It
not
was,
trip up the stairs or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Had a couple beverages.
we had some
But
beverages,
people
some
must
adult
have-
beverages.
We did. People must have been. Speaking of beverages, to this day, if like I said, I'm 35.
Right.
Oh, I thought you were 34.
Well, I'm 35 next year.
Okay.
Okay.
Got
And
it.
Today's
I-
his birthday.
And my point is, I'm 48. My point is, I'm old enough to drink it. To this day, if I'm at a bar having a drink or at a table, people will literally be like, I don't know if you should be doing that.
Because of the character?
Because he's sober on the
Like,
show.
should you be
I
doing
was
that?
like,
You know,
why?
slippery slope. That's the gateway. It's pills next, and the next thing you know, you're snorting things. I'm just like, Jesus.
And then what'll Jack think?
It's a Bud Light.
Tell him what people would yell at you during the series. Like
They still do it.
What
What do they do?
Say it.
So I'll get like, it's so interesting. I love my life, and I love people, and I love how passionate they are about certain things.
Preface.
I've done.
Preface is
Listen,
always
No,
this way.
I've done.
Let me start by
I
saying
love
I
life.
love people.
I do. But these people that I'm about ready. No. What'll happen
What do
is
you mean these people?
So I've done like superhero stuff.
Yes.
I've done soap opera stuff. I've done daytime stuff. I've done. I've been a stripper and before.
Oh, yeah.
This
got-
is
you
us.
got waxed.
Tracker.
We got
All this kind of stuff. And so I can almost tell what they're gonna.
Where they know you from.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And sometimes I get shocked. But the obvious ones are when I'm walking down the street and I'll just hear it. Maybe turn this down. I'm walking down
You
the
push
street
it away a little
and
bit.
I'll just hear, Manny! And I'm like,
That's
a guy.
hilarious.
It's always a guy?
No. It could be a woman, could be a man. It's all walks of life.
Yeah.
And I look back and they're, Manny! And they're going nuts. And I just think to myself, it was never a show.
Yeah.
It never
Nope.
aired.
It's a
Yep.
fake show within a show.
Fake show within a show.
In fact, it was the thing Kevin hated most about his life.
I asked, did you guys know this reference? I saw Morris Chestnut the other day and I go, do you ever get the Manny? And
Does he?
He didn't know what the hell I was talking about.
That
And I was like,
is-
you took over
you-
the Manny.
Did you know that we used
And
your
he was like,
image
"Oh,
and
yeah,
name
yeah."
and
And I was
likeness?
Now they're both
I
on
was like,
CBS.
You were the only Manny with a billboard. I never got a billboard.
You never had a billboard.
He was
And,
probably like, okay.
he was like,
You had a
oh,
poster.
yeah. He's like, I do know that. I was like, anyway.
He was like, would you mind taking a
That-
few steps back, sir?
Yeah.
You know what's
He
funny?
had his people remove me.
Yeah.
It-
Just
you know,
like, will you just
I-
sign this for me?
I bet you in most cases, people think they're like the first person to come up with the idea.
Because
You know what I'm saying?
deep cut.
Yeah, it's a deep cut.
Oh, no,
It's like,
people want
yeah.
to do, people like all the time they want me to do the Manny. They're like, would you ever do that show? And I'm like, in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I would do that in a heart. Are you kidding me?
Multicam.
Multicam in LA.
And
Let's go.
I
Come
would
on.
love to be the Manny.
Yeah.
This is the
You heard it
pitch.
here first.
This is the
The
pitch.
pitch.
We're
You heard
gonna
it here
make it
first.
happen.
I watch it.
Would you do it? You'd stop by, wouldn't you?
Cut out the
Oh,
middleman.
hell
Mark.
yeah.
Can you imagine?
We'd
Yeah,
guest
that'd be
star
great.
How great
on
would
the
that be?
Manny.
That'd be great.
Every single person from This Is Us guest stars on the Manny.
Yeah.
I mean,
That'd
it's
be
Just drop their
perfect.
kids
it
off.
sold itself.
Yeah.
More That Was Us after this short break.
Some days are non-stop. You blink and suddenly it's 4 p.m., you've skipped lunch, and you're just trying to make it to dinner without crashing. That's exactly the moment when I reach for my buddy David.
Come on now.
David protein bars are made for moments like that. They're packed with 28 grams of protein, just 150 calories, and absolutely zero sugar.
Guys,
Are you having a David day? Sterling?
I'm having a David day today.
Yeah.
There's one in the backpack right now. I'm about to pound it with some water.
What's that flavor?
It's
What's that
vanilla.
flavor?
It's
Vanilla.
the vanilla joint, and it tastes good, right? Because a lot of these things are sort
Yeah.
of chalky and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
this
no.
thing tastes
I
good.
look forward to it.
Right after the workout, if I put one down, like I feel my muscles. I feel strong like Popeye.
Yeah.
You guys
Yes.
understand
Thank
what
you.
I'm
Oh,
telling
yeah.
you?
And I don't know what it is. If you're a sensory person, but they got these little crispy, crunchy
Yeah, they've got like a
balls
little
in
They
them.
do.
crunchy.
And
Yes,
they got that
pause.
little crunch.
Yes.
Little crunch.
Yeah.
Very satisfying.
I dig it.
Well, most protein bars are candy bars in disguise,
Right.
but David is different. With 75% of its calories coming from protein, it's one of the highest protein to calorie ratios you will find anywhere.
come on.
Plus, gotta say, the packaging is iconic. The ingredients are clean and the flavors are so good. I am a peanut butter girly for life. So
Yeah.
anything peanut butter
feel you.
is
Yeah.
gonna be my jam.
As soon as you pull one out, people are like, that looks expensive.
It's
classy
It just
packaging.
looks fancy.
Yeah.
It's good. David is ideal for people looking to increase protein, cut sugar, and manage calorie intake. That's why I always have David protein bars with me. David is offering our listeners a deal to buy 4 cartons and get the 5th free at davidprotein.com/thatwasus. That's davidprotein.com/thatwasus to get your 5th carton free. Humans aren't perfect, but David is.
Summer means travel. And let's be real, comfort matters when you're sprinting through terminals or stuck in a middle seat.
They're also great for running, especially in summer heat. Bombas Wick Sweat helps you and your feet keep cool, and even fights blisters. And it's not just running. They make specialized pairs for hiking, tennis, golf, you name it.
That's why Bombas is my go-to for flights, especially the compression socks. They legit make a difference on those long hauls.
And speaking of long flights, we have some great news for our international audience. You can also order Bombas abroad. That's right. Along with the U.S., they now ship internationally to over 200 countries.
And the mission? It's incredible. One purchased equals one donated to someone in need.
Head over to bombas.com and use code TWU for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com, code TWU at checkout. Bombas.com and use code TWU.
This is a question about, because you're talking about all the female relationships that you had, because Kev went through, who British chick what's the character's
Janet
name?
Montgomery was,
Well, it's Janet.
oh gosh.
but- yeah.
What was her character's name?
I can't remember.
See, the thing about Kevin at that point is like, I went method
Yeah.
on the, and I'm not really.
She was like
who
the
knows?
first
Character
person.
names, no actors' names.
Then the writer,
Uh-huh.
and then we introduce Sophie,
Sophie.
right? Who sort of becomes like, our linchpin throughout the
The
thing.
OG, yeah.
Then Zoe is
Madison.
right after Sophie. Is anybody in
Yeah,
between Zoe
yeah,
and
she
Sophie?
was before Madison.
Well, there was
Yeah.
the doctor at the school.
There's there's a doctor at school. There's that.
Well,
if we want to include,
well,
yes,
if we're
Yeah,
going
I'm
to
sure we don't know all of them.
we don't
Let's
know.
be
Listen,
honest.
There was an episode.
let me get on
there
my
was an episode.
pamphlets.
Remember where Kevin was speed dating, where he would just sit down, and it was the same table, I think, at the same restaurant, and it was just not working,
Yeah.
working. And he would show up at like birthday functions with a certain person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was countless.
It was a laundry
It was a
list.
lot. I want to talk about a little bit of that Madison arc before like ultimately came back to Sophie, because that wedding I remember, and we haven't gotten. Is that season 5?
That's season 5, I think.
By the time we get to it, like, I'm curious for you as an actor, because it's one of the most beautiful things in terms of like, you want to make it work. Like, she's the mother of my children or whatnot. At first, you guys are going to part company, and you decide to sort of come through, and she's the one who hits you up and is like, "Do you love me?"
Right. It was heartbreaking, right?
And he's like, I'm trying to say all the things that I need to say without, because what I love about Kev, he doesn't lie.
He's not a liar.
No.
I'm trying to think if there are times in which Kev has like just out and out bold face, and maybe there's
Maybe when he's inebriated, but
maybe when
maybe
he's
to
inebriated.
protect someone.
but
I
for
don't
the
think-
most part, his MO is to be
Truthful,
honest,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Was that just shooting the scene, because it's sort of memorable to me? Is it memorable? What do you remember about it?
Not much. No, I'm kidding. No, I do. I remember her being great.
She was wonderful.
She was great. That's a hard question to ask
Caitlin
someone.
killed that.
Yeah, and you have to, you have to be ready for the answer.
yeah.
And I think she knew the answer.
Sure.
You don't ask that question.
Unless you know the answer.
Yeah, you don't have to ask that question.
No.
If the answer is yes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah. Now be honest.
You be honest.
No, listen, I would appreciate
The
some
words.
honesty.
What do you think of my glasses? Here's another one that like was an interesting journey for us, because I think it's season 4 where Kev and Randall are having like their beat. So mom's condition is sort of worsening, and there's a differing of opinion of like how best
take care of her,
to
yeah.
take care of her or whatnot. And I can remember people on the street coming up to me, because Randall and Beth had gone through an argument the season prior, and you didn't know if Randall and Beth were going to make it
Yeah.
together or not.
Yeah.
My wife actually told me, she said, if Lucius and Cookie can figure it out, y'all need to get your shit together. That's an Empire reference, because she's like, look, if those people can do it, and she was very worried. I had somebody come up to me, she goes, you remember the argument that you had with Beth, right? And they said, what happened with you and Kev was like 10 times worse.
Yeah.
Because nobody was like in an
Talk-
impassioned state of being or whatnot.
Yeah.
Like
Talk
that's
to us about that scene.
The one on the lawn? Is that what I'm
Yes.
talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
The fight.
yeah. Well, not to take away from it, but there was a lot of laughing that happened in between
Tons of
those
laughter.
takes.
Yeah.
Tons of laughter.
Like when they would turn around, when we had a couple minutes.
I think there is a safety that
I was
we
just going to
both
say,
felt
I was just going to say the same thing.
in going wherever we needed to go with the scene, because nobody was going to take it personally.
No,
Yeah.
I was going to
Right?
say the same thing. It was like, we had stuff like that too in the hospital. When I remember that when I was drunk, I couldn't drive. It was like,
Yeah.
but you have when you're working with really talented, great actors that are just beyond generous and trusting and full, like give full performances. You can rip heads off and smash and you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
And by the way, in that at least for me, I always feel it.
Yeah.
Oh, bro, shit cut.
It's
real.
because it's still your voice.
Yeah.
and we're friends.
Yeah.
And it sounds just like you, and it looks just like you, and you're in the moment, and you're trying to defend something that's the way that was written.
Yeah.
Though was a lot of times and it's fine in the way it should be in the way that you tell a story in a story arc. A lot of times a character is defending something that's not defensible, which is fine, which is what people do.
Right.
And it's interesting to watch. That particular scene, I saw both sides
Of
equally.
course.
Yeah.
And
I think the audience
I didn't
did
have an
too.
opinion about who
Right.
was right and who was
Yeah.
wrong. There were things that were said
Yeah.
that were,
Mean.
flat out
Yeah,
mean.
Bells
yeah.
that can't be unrung.
Bells that
Yes.
can't be on. But
Yeah.
that also happens in life.
Yeah.
You know? And I'd like to say that I've never said something that, like that to anybody, but that's not true. I have.
I've had almost the exact same conversation with my own brother with regards to my mother's care.
Really. It got that intense.
You know what? Yes, in a similar way, because it wasn't like we were raising our voices or
Right.
something. And I remember I said
Yeah.
something to him,
Yeah.
and I let it like lay out there for a minute
Yeah.
until I wanted him to get off the phone. So I was like, I'm not gonna hang up on you, but I'm gonna say this.
Oof.
And he's like, well, okay, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. Like, yeah. I've been, yeah.
Yeah, you get to that point, and then you get off the phone, you're just sweating. You haven't moved.
Because each person is convinced, they're convinced that
Of their
they're
position.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I think for Randall in particular, I think Randall, I won't say suffers from, but has the idea, if I don't do it, who will?
I would say suffers from.
I would say suffers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and I say that just because I know other people who have that same sort of mindset or whatnot, and they think that it's absolutely legitimate. And Randall is definitely, he's
Yeah.
like, if I don't do it,
It won't get done.
It won't get done.
or it'll get jacked up.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's some legitimacy to that too, given the company that he's in, right?
Sure.
But it becomes harmful when it spins into resentment or treating other people a certain way.
Yes.
Because it may or may not be true. Like
Right.
like that's the Rach and I both are the same way.
Okay.
Where it's like about certain things.
Yeah.
And it just both of us kind of had to come to like a similar realization where it's like, which is fine. I guess I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you do that and I'll do this.
Right.
And
I'm okay with
as
that.
long as we don't resent each other
Yeah,
about it, everything's
I
fine.
started to
Yeah,
realize that one of the great things about doing all these shows and traveling all over and sort of living out of a suitcase, one of the great things that I took away from that, and I love that I have this, because I don't know if I would have this in my life if not for that, is you can't possibly be two places at once. In fact, if you're living, you're oftentimes relying on other people to take care of things that you care about, whether it be your lawn or whether it be your teachers at school, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
You really have to be okay with the fact that, like, I really want this done.
Yeah.
And it's not ever going to be exactly the way that
Right.
You just have to let all that go.
Right.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't matter
Right.
Right.
at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Not an
matter.
easy thing for Randall to hear.
Right.
Yeah. No, for sure.
I mean, how would you even, speaking of that kind of stuff, Randall, and you probably already talked about this, but that meltdown that you had, the first time we saw him melt down at work,
Yeah.
Yeah.
when I found you,
Yeah.
and that was great because
That hug.
you think about what Kevin from the very beginning was a selfless person.
Yeah, he has service in him.
Oh,
Yes.
and he was like, well, I got this play. I mean, we didn't like talk about the fact that he totally let his cast down. He just left that girl out to this light went on and was like, and he was like, oh, I gotta
Yeah.
but he had it, he knew, he was like, oh, that's not right. That could be permanent,
Sure.
So I don't know. I just, there were so many moments. You can't talk about them all, can you?
No.
So many moments.
do it one
the fight
episode
that
at
you
a
had
time.
with Jack, that was that oneer that you guys did.
Yeah.
I was like, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
I mean, there should be a stack of Emmys right there.
Yeah.
Ay.
That was unbelievable.
So right now we're in the middle of
Vietnam.
the Vietnam story.
yeah.
And you got to go to Vietnam.
Yeah.
yes.
Traveled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk to us about
Please.
Yeah,
that.
please.
Went to Vietnam. We did a lot of the stuff in LA, and then a lot of the stuff we did in Vietnam for Vietnam. It was interesting. It was like huge language barrier. So
Sure.
Ken would be like, we're in a van, we're driving in the van or whatever. No, I think we're getting a ride from the van in the van to the hotel or whatever. And Melanie and I are in there, like, you know, doing our acting thing, and Ken's in there with his monitors, and all of a sudden the boom operator would just call cut.
Oh God.
And
Oh God.
Ken couldn't believe it. He didn't. He was like, I think he popped up and you just saw his head and his hair, and he goes, but I'm the director. He goes, and there was a guy named On that was the translator, and he goes, On. And he looked, he goes, tell him I'm the director. I call cut. He doesn't call cut. Who is that? He's not calling cut. I'm calling cut. Okay. All right. Are we rolling? All right. Wait. Wait. Okay. Justin. Okay. And are we rolling? On. Are we rolling? On. And he goes, we're rolling. He goes,
He'd be
okay, we're
such a
rolling.
good
And then he would
Ken.
call cut, and Ken would be like, what is going on? What? Pull over. And so this was like day one. And I was like, well, this is going well. I'm glad we flew the whole crew here.
Yeah.
Couldn't have done this on a soundstage.
Yeah.
Talk about flexing, being like, we're a huge show.
Yeah.
Let's go to Vietnam. And they're like, okay, let's go
There's
to
no
Vietnam.
Vietnamese
We
actors
could have
in
shot
LA.
that whole damn thing
Yeah.
in California, I think. Although we did go to the wet market. Was it a wet
Yeah.
market?
Yeah.
Where you found the necklaces, all the
Yeah.
necklaces on the rack.
And she ate the bat.
Yeah, it was mushroom. They
Okay.
gave us mushroom.
Great.
But
I like mushroom.
you could walk in there and buy like clothes and food and you name it, a camera, you name it, you could buy it, anything. It was like Amazon but in a store. But
Yeah.
we had to walk. I don't know what they had going on in there, but you had to walk up. This is the truth. I had to walk up to the building, get like 10 feet away from the building, inhale a few times, walk away from the building.
Because it smelled so
Then I could go
bad.
like 8 feet.
Really?
Then I could go like 5 feet.
was
Then I could
strong.
go in the building, and then I could go in the building
Yeah.
and stay in the building. You
Yeah.
have to get used to it. It's like,
Acquired.
yeah.
Got it. Okay.
And once you're in there, you're like, oh, it's fine.
Amazon, the wet market without the smell.
Exactly.
How long were you guys there? Was it a full week?
I think so. Yeah, I think we were there about a week.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
were you with Ken when he infamously fell in the water, or was that Milo?
That was Milo.
Okay.
But you pushed him.
But I pushed
When you
it.
fell,
Yeah.
when he fell in the rice paddy.
I guess what happened was the tide was coming in. I think is what
Yeah.
the sun.
Right.
The
Yeah,
tide was
you
coming
were
in,
losing the.
and so it was just a ditch, I think, and then the ditch fills with water, and Ken was on this road that kept getting more and more like narrower,
Yeah.
and I think Milo was like, it was encroaching on his. It was like, we have a couple minutes to shoot this, whatever. And I think Ken took, the way I understand the story is Ken took a step back and he just disappeared
yeah.
like a
God, that's
magic trick.
amazing.
It's like a magic trick.
Yeah.
Where'd he go?
Like up to his neck.
He was just here.
Yeah.
No, I think he went in.
Oh,
Oh,
No, I think
wow.
he disappeared.
great.
Did he really?
I think
Okay.
so.
It's better.
Or maybe it was because they were on a something. Anyway,
I'm going to ask him because he's
Yeah.
shooting with us right now. I have to find out the
Yeah.
answer to that question.
Yeah, he's had some, and when he directs Tracker, he's hilarious because we're always we're tracking. We're in the middle of the woods.
He says it's 1 day on set, usually 7 days on location.
Yeah,
or-
but that one day on set is usually maybe I'll do like 3 scenes in my truck,
Yeah.
and then I will. I am on the road the rest of the time. I'm everywhere.
I interrupted a story that you're about to say something about.
Oh no, just the Vietnam stuff. No, it was just we would go to these places. They would find these locations, and then we would show up. And I remember this one time, this guy owned the house. I think he owned the house that we were shooting at, and we were playing it for a hotel maybe or something. And Millie and I walk around the corner, and we have a scene, and then of course we have to do that 900 times or whatever. And this guy wanted to be in it, and so he's like, "I'll just sit here. I'll sit here." And Melanie and I walk.
He's like, I know how to do this.
Yeah, he's like, no big deal. He's sitting there, and then we're like, okay, are you sure?
Just scooting scooting into the shot. Yeah.
So you get in the shot.
That's how we do it. Right, man.
But he would sit there, and then I looked at him a few times. I was like, what's going on? I was like, take 3, and I'm like, I said something. I was like, he's whatever that water is that he's drinking. I don't know if it's in the shot. It's obvious that he's switching water glasses.
Yeah.
It wasn't water. And like by take 6, that dude was like in the background. He was, and then he'd be like, we would walk through and he'd be like, yeah, we just sorry. And he was doing all his beet red face. And he's like, yeah, no teeth.
Yeah.
He was just like, yeah.
Got his SAG card that day.
And we were like, oh no, what do we have to pay this guy $1 million to leave or something?
Oh my gosh.
And but anyway, I don't know how we got around that. Maybe they painted him out or something. I have no idea how they did that, but it ended up he ended up being. It was also in the coverage
Because On couldn't get him to leave.
Yeah, On couldn't get him to leave.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Oh God.
Did you work with Dustin Nguyen at all? The guy who plays Bao. He was like the
No, I think that was just Milo.
just Milo.
That was just my.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, because what I said in our last episode was I thought that he was living in Vietnam and was like a representative for the film commission there or something. But I wanted confirmation. But if you don't know,
I don't know.
No need to confirm or deny.
Milo would probably know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll call him.
Call him right now.
Let me.
FaceTime him right now.
He'll probably call you and give you the information before you
Yeah.
have to ask.
He's listening. Always listening.
I remember. So I'm gonna jump around a little bit, but like I remember towards the end. Dan had always pitched that it was going to be 6 seasons, right?
Yep.
And Justin would be like, almost like the lone person, where Mandy'd be like, "Yeah, 6 feels right. Like we did our thing. Let's come to an end."
Oh
And-
no, I was with Justin.
Were you?
Yeah,
Yes,
you were with me 100%.
I was like,
Yeah.
I could
Do
do
one
this,
more.
at least
There's
another
a
one.
little
Yeah.
more story to tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, before we got to the very end, end was the story,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But I thought we could have done one more.
Yeah. One more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What would you guys do?
But I thought it was perfect the way it ended.
totally. I mean, had
could be
he
something I'm
like
wrong about.
in season 5 said, actually, we could figure out 2 more.
Right. I think
That was. But when he was like, "There's only 1 more,"
Yeah.
and this is what we're leading to, it was like, well,
This
sure.
is
then it
how
was
I remember
conclusive.
at one point in time, Dan had pitched. He's like, I have 6 seasons in my head, but maybe if I handed it over to Isaac and Elizabeth, like we could continue it or whatever. And I was like, this show is so Dan. And even though Isaac and Elizabeth ran the room, what have you, I was like, you don't want to go beyond the dude who created the thing. In my mind.
Sure. Not
You know
not a
what I'm saying?
West
I was
Wing
like,
situation.
yeah. Everybody will talk about the beginning years, and then Wells comes in on the West Wing or whatnot. It's not the same, et cetera. I was just like, the idea that we could come in and go out at the same place that we started and began, when people weren't like, is this still on? Like,
Yeah.
I felt good about that,
Sure.
right? Artistically. But you were like, I did a show for 9 years. I did a show.
Yeah.
I would have done it for 19.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it gets to the point where just in like a sort of in a selfish way, the story would not have been good for 19 years.
Right.
But I love you guys.
I love
Yeah.
you.
And I
know.
loved
Same.
working with you guys.
Yeah.
Same.
And I would have just been like after season 17, I would have
Yeah,
been like,
I don't care.
they'd been like, your show sucks. And I'd be like, I know,
Yeah. I don't care.
but it used to be good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You remember when it was good? And they'd be like, no, I don't remember when it was good.
Yeah.
I remember it being bad for 9 years. And I'd be like,
Well,
lump it.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
lump
And
And then you just drive
I mean,
off.
I would have done that
your
show until I
Lamborghini.
was like 44. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
For another
already
two,
told them
problem.
you were
another 2
48.
decades. Another 2
No, I know.
decades.
another
It's
2
a joke.
decades.
Yeah.
I would another 2 decades. Yeah, I would have done that well into my teen years. I swear to God.
Listen, I don't disagree with you in terms of the camaraderie that was achieved, because it's real. People want to, like, they ask
Hence
us, like,
your podcasts.
hence,
Yeah,
this
that's
is what
why.
I'm-
This is why we did it. I'm like, can I just
honestly,
hang out with you guys again?
I show up
Yeah,
because being with you guys and talking about this period in our lives
Yeah.
where we got a chance to do something special
yeah,
Yeah.
that has such
And
resonance
hearing
with
from
people.
other people.
Dude, we have, like,
still.
yeah.
The fans will
seen
come
it.
That,
I
in
know. I've seen it.
and
Yeah,
will say stuff that's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I know.
It just
changed
is a
their lives.
constant reminder. Yeah. And you're like, oh, wow, we selfishly loved doing what we were doing because we
Yeah.
all got to be together and we love
Yeah.
each other and stuff. And
Yeah.
But like, it tangibly made such an impact for so many people.
yeah. And still
we
does.
get to hear from them and still does. And it's like so special.
You know, and here's the other thing that was really special about that show. I don't know about y'all, but I had been through it a few times by the time I got this
Yeah.
this part.
Yes.
So it just seemed to me like everybody, as opposed to sometimes you get on a show when you're really, really young, you kind of, because how would you? You kind of don't know what you have.
There was
You
appreciation.
don't realize how massive appreciation from everybody.
Everybody.
Everybody was like, oh. Like I remember when we did the table read, I had just watched The Nick.
Yeah.
And I loved you on that show. Loved your performance on that show. I love you and everything, but I loved your performance on the show. And I remember, do you remember this? I found out.
I do.
I couldn't help it. Because I didn't realize, you were
was
so...
at the end of the table read.
Yeah, you were looking really familiar to me the whole time. I was like, because on the show, you were
Big
smoked a
beard.
big beard and everything. Yeah, accent.
Yeah.
All that. And I was like, guys, I was putting it together whilst trying not to lose my place during the table read.
You're like, how do I know?
No, which happened to me one time on a show. I'll tell you if you want to hear that story.
Sure.
Oh my God. And I don't know what happened. I lost. I don't know what happened, but I finally clicked, and I went up to him. And I was like, "Hey,"
Yeah.
and he was like, "Hey," and I was like, "The Nick, man, I got to tell you, it's like unbelievable. I can't believe that you don't have an act." It was Kevin. I was like, "I can't believe you don't have that accent. How the hell do you do that? I mean, are you American or what are you? Are you Irish? What are you?
Is this an accent?
Yeah, what are you doing? Are you a fraud now or are you fraud on the show?
I feel like that's Toby.
Is that your beard?
Yeah.
I'm like, how the hell? Do you drive an ambulance?
Yeah.
Can you? He was just like, man, I gotta go. I gotta go. No, you
You're
didn't.
creepy.
It was the same question I asked because when I figured out that I ended up with an audition for this show because of the Nick from John and Glenn who had seen it.
Is that true?
Yeah. They were like, what about that guy? And I was like, what in that guy made you
see
think
Toby?
No, nothing.
There's an appreciation for actors. I think
they
that's
do.
a complete
They do.
complete transformation. That's what they saw.
you're a killer.
Yeah.
You're a killer.
You are a killer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us.
We'll end it on that.
This
No,
episode.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Go.
You working with you as a director, I loved. I'm curious, like Sterling, we got to work on an episode primarily with Justin that he directed.
Yes.
Kind of in it was season 6, right?
Yeah.
How did you find that experience? Because it was really lovely that Dan sort of came to us collectively at the end and was like, who wants to direct? Who wants to write?
Yeah.
Like, what roles do you want to assume at this point? And, those of us raised our hand for the directing gig. And I just like, I loved working with you as a director. And I found you to bring the same, like, sort of cool, collective confidence that you brought to your character and that you bring to set as an actor. You brought that same energy as a director. Where it was like, I know I'm safe. I know I'm in great hands. I know that Justin knows exactly what he wants. But sometimes you feel the stress and the the pressure, the energy that like a director brings because like they got to make their day or something went wrong and Yasu doesn't want to put the camera there and like you never.
He never wants to put the camera.
He never wants to put the camera where the director wants, or
Very rarely.
But
Still, that still
you
goes
never betrayed that. You were always just sort of like, Justin, you're just like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, like, did you like playing that role? Do you want to continue doing that? What was This Is Us like the first time you directed?
I directed on Smallville
Oh,
a while ago. I did not know what I was doing. And well, that's not true. I did the school, the class, all that stuff. And then, so, I mean, I guess technically I could have done a workbook and said, answered all the questions, but I don't think I knew how to, I didn't have enough confidence to talk to actors. I don't think. And then on this show, I had so much confidence in the actors that it's sort of like this big safety blanket where you go, I mean, you kind of can put the camera anywhere and they're going to crush this thing, And also, the show.
Yeah.
Like you know what you need and what's going to what you're wasting your time on, and you kind of edit in your head and all that as you're going, And but no, I loved it. I loved like my whole thing with you was like I remember I had a lot of stuff with you and a lot of like, what am I going to tell you? Like really, what am I going to tell you?
But you did.
Well,
you would come up and I remember you would like pose a very simple question.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like a suggestion.
No,
it wasn't even, and you just would come up and say something that was like revelatory. It was like, whoa, like a total light bulb moment of like, okay. But it was just like, it was quiet. You'd say it, and then you would just like step away, and we would roll, and it was like never would have occurred to me.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is like when you have like great talent around you that understands the character and understands the story and the show and all that, you just you have that luxury. You don't have to go, hey, so you were in a war.
Right.
And your son's about ready to go off to war.
Yeah.
And you're going to talk. You don't have to explain it. You can just go. Like I think I remember saying to you one time, this would be a lot easier if Jack were here, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That's
like
all I
that
said.
sort of stuff where you're just like, okay, well.
and the kids were acting like jerks or whatever in the restaurant. It was something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like, what am I going to say? Like, I'm not going to give acting lessons to any. This is ridiculous. But I think I always love that when someone says, Ken does a lot of that.
It's a perspective.
Yeah, when he'll tell you a story about himself. He's like, when I lost my, or he'll tell you a story and then he'll just walk away.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He won't even complete a sentence.
Well, that's
Not
Very
one,
rare.
not a
not
single
possible.
one.
Not possible.
Which is hard to do when you're telling a story.
Yeah.
And somehow he gets it across.
But it's communicated.
And you're like, got it. Okay.
Got it.
I could never tell a story like that because I have to use sentences
Yeah.
punctuation.
sometimes.
Not just semicolons.
To what Mandy
Almost never.
To what Mandy was just saying, like I think I remember having this conversation with you about Buddhism and about just sort of like philosophy of life and whatnot. And I think it's one of those things, if you care to talk about it, that like people wouldn't necessarily be like, Justin Hartley, da 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
But there is I've seen you get upset. So it's not like you don't get upset.
Sure.
And it's really funny when you do. But it's also like real
Hysterical.
But to me, it's not funny.
Not to you,
No.
not to you, to everybody else. Like it's
We plan to make you upset before you leave because we think it's...
because it doesn't happen often.
Right.
Like it happens very infrequently. Like you have a way of moving through life. And you've said it a few times. It's not important. Like you have a way of sort of distilling things into like what matters and what doesn't, and like easily sort of triage.
It gives it weight too.
Yeah.
It's like when Mandy gets upset. You're like, there must be something worth being upset about.
Similar.
No, I think
Because
one time I've seen it.
Yeah.
Well,
Once.
we remember that time.
Yeah. Because,
You were there.
Yeah. Because this doesn't happen. So if this is happening,
I love when Sterling crumbled.
there must be
Well-
something to be happening about.
Well, there was. That's all we'll say.
Talk to us a little bit about just sort of like how you got to this place of where you move through life right now. Because I think it's sort of fascinating for people, because I think similar to Kevin, people don't give you the credit that you deserve for being like a really beautiful, fully realized,
Evolved
incredibly
human.
conscientious human being.
Yep.
Well, thanks. But I don't think the credit matters. I really
And that's
don't.
it.
And there you go.
I really don't. I have. Well, I'll share this with you. I mean, I've been through a lot,
Yeah.
and that will reset you, and you go. I mean, I'm not going to keep beating this drum. You know, what's going on here? And so I found these certain books that you can read.
Pamphlets.
Pamphlets.
Yeah.
And the words are written down for you. You just have to read them. Like you can read books about Buddhism or whatever it might be that centers you. And if you revisit those books, or if you keep thinking that way, or you stay trained, you stay fit in that regard, then you can kind of stay centered. And if you stop doing that, it's like working out. If you stop going to the gym, you're going to see a difference. And it won't take that long either,
Sure.
right? Because life is I mean, it just comes at you fast.
It happens every day, life.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
doesn't
it's crazy.
slow down.
Right
It's
now.
like, it's
Literally.
happening right out there.
Over and over again.
Yeah, that's why I came in here. I was like, I'll check out for a little bit.
Relentless.
Yeah, I don't know. I think also being a parent, if you see your kids stressing out about something, and you're like, wow, none of this matters.
Right.
I don't mean to suggest that you should, be a slob and not care about things. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I just think, you should enjoy life and not stress out so much about things that you can't control, and you can control very, very little. Yeah. Most of the things that you can control have to do with helping other people. Mm-hmm. They really do. So like if I can actually impact someone in a positive way, by talking with them, spending time with them, that you can control.
Right.
Sometimes the mood you're in, like sometimes, like what are you dealing with? Like why, like all this dumb shit. Like, who cares, right?
Yeah.
It's just about people, really, in the end. And it sounds so cliche, but if you can realize it, I think you can live longer.
Yeah.
And just by, we've talked about this on the podcast about, I don't know if you remember our date that we had in Las Vegas, but I'll remember it forever. Of
course.
It was very romantic.
Yeah.
It involved a shooting range.
I mean, it was everything.
It was unbelievable.
And the heckler, I don't know if you remember the heckler, but I want.
The heckler. No,
Yeah.
but we had a separate date.
Yes.
Yeah, on the first night, but we did our activity.
We did, yeah.
and then you were accosted by a bachelorette party which was unnerving. Like, for me, especially, I could see it on you. Like, it was above and beyond.
No, you were like, this is
illegal. Like, what's happening is illegal. And your reaction to it when we sat down at dinner, I was like, what do you do? I was like, you do something, you Zen motherfucker. I was like, what? Tell me. We ordered sushi, and I was like, tell me everything.
That's right.
And regardless, like you're saying, regardless of the practice, right? The spiritual practice, the spiritual gym that you go to like stay balanced.
Sure.
Same way you go to the gym to strengthen yourself, to stay strong, but mostly balanced, not falling over, not being knocked over, not being, being able to lift and run and track and all of these things. But just by living your life that way is a service to the people around you. Because
It's an act of love.
being able to witness you navigate that situation and then navigate it that way is an act of service. And so I appreciate you. And
Thanks,
I can
man.
see it and I see it
Here.
and I feel it and it makes me a better person just being around you.
Oh, come on. Thank you.
Yeah.
Amen.
Thank you. I feel the exact same way.
Agreed.
You guys are amazing.
You.
We got to bring the show back. Season 7.
That's right.
7.
How about this? Tracker season 4, you walk in somewhere and there's Jack. You're like, what the
That's a
blackout.
crossover.
What
that
is
nobody
the statute on that? Like, how many years have to go by before we can bring
Before it's a
characters on the
reunion?
Tracker? Before it's not Toby. No, do Tracker. It's not Toby doing Tracker with Kevin.
Right.
I think it's.
I think we're there.
3 years. I think Law and Order has a 3-year rule, right?
Okay.
You can go back and do another Law and Order after 3
But
But
years.
that's
3
the same
years.
show. This is a
That's the
totally
same
different show.
Oh, we could all pop on.
I think so.
Yeah, we could all pop on.
We could all pop on.
Done.
Yeah.
Bada bing,
You
bada
just
boom.
let me know when you're not doing That Was Us and
Is
your
there
other projects.
is there
I'll be on
anything
set.
else?
I'll direct all the episodes. Ken
That's a
doesn't
good
want
idea.
to.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Is there
That'd be great.
anything else that you feel like you want to visit in this sort of interview regarding the show, your time with the show,
Yeah.
the people, the story, the arcs, just anything that's like
Anything
you
that
always wanted
pops
to
up, yeah.
go into?
No.
I'm good.
No, I will say though that it's a very familiar feeling. It's a very lovely feeling being around you all and all together with the jersey and the whole thing and the font and all this kind of stuff. But it also is bittersweet. It really is, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It really was every minute of that. I never ever woke up having to go to work.
Right, we got
Not
to.
one.
Never.
Same.
I would look at that water tower. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Go
couldn't
through
believe
that gate.
I used to send people pictures of the water tower.
You sent me one.
and be like, can you believe it?
I'm like,
Can
yeah,
you
I was there
even
with you all
believe it?
day. I
Yeah.
can believe it.
Yeah.
Stop calling me.
I'm in the photo.
I'm behind you right now.
I'm like, the photo is just of me with no waterfall.
Through
This
the
is
window
water
of my
tower
trailer.
at Paramount Studios.
That is a video of me right now.
Yeah.
Chris, what is going on? It's like, you haven't
Why are you
worked
following
in 3
me?
days. Why are you still here? Aren't you thirsty? Get yourself some water.
Tell me how you do it.
No, but yeah, never.
Yeah, like no autopilot. It was every day. It was like, wow, here we are. This is so cool.
It was so special
Yeah.
and so it just everybody loved it.
Uh-huh.
And it was good and
Yeah.
pure.
It was
Yeah.
really good.
And hard to watch because it was so real.
Yeah.
And easy to watch because there was so much love.
Yeah.
And it was funny. It was hilarious.
It was really funny.
Oh, it was so
Really
funny.
funny.
It's that people get,
Yeah.
which is
Did you ever
understandable.
get This Is Us in the show?
No.
You never got it in the show.
No.
'Cause
There's
you
really,
said
Wait,
it-
what do you
said-
mean? What do you mean by
He
that?
said it like 100 times.
I used
He
to
would
try
get out
and
of a
work
cab and
the title into the show.
he'd get out of a cab and be like, This Is Us.
So when I dropped him,
Elevator.
when
This
I
is us.
when I dropped him off
happens
at
in elevators.
Sophie's,
Yeah.
I would tap the cab driver every take.
Every
Be
time.
This is us right here.
Yep.
Because there are times in life when you say it.
Yeah.
and it's
I say it all the
appropriate.
time.
Yeah.
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 And but I will say this. I do say it. It's my favorite place. I still say it in life, in a crowded elevator.
Perfect.
Yeah.
When Rachel and I get off,
This is us.
especially if there's other people there, I go, "This is us."
Even if it's not your floor.
Even if nobody has ever seen, I don't care if I don't know if they've seen the show. I just hope that they have.
That's
So that they can-
hilarious. I didn't know
anybody-
that was a game that you played.
Yeah.
Has anybody ever?
And that was the closest in the cab was the closest
thought
I
you were
ever
gonna get
got because I got it into a sentence. Sir, this is us right here.
Yeah, because they couldn't cut around it.
Right.
Yeah.
But what they
We were
did
talking
was
about, I was like, you need to say
all
some-
the sound faded out to MOS right before.
I think, Dan, you probably caused him the biggest headache.
Yeah.
He's like,
I didn't do
can't
it too
do
much.
it in the show.
I only did it where
It's
it
like
was
he spent
appropriate.
$300,000 throughout the course of the show trying
Yeah.
to keep
That's why we didn't get a season 7.
Yeah.
That was
We
it.
ran
It was
out
your
of money.
fault.
We used it all up.
Your fault.
No, but it's a great feeling being here.
Yeah.
It's so bittersweet. It's wonderful.
Thanks for finally coming on.
I remember last year we were gonna do like a video, like
Yeah.
zoom in, and I was like, I don't want to zoom in.
No. We
I
need
wanna
you
be
like
here,
in the flesh.
This
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Because we've had everybody. Everybody has been able to come.
Couple
That's
times. Some people have come a couple. Dan's come a couple times, right?
Dan's
come
come a
twice.
couple
John
times.
John just came twice.
Okay.
Yeah, and everybody else has been once so far. But if you ever want to come back, bro,
Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe for a specific special episode, like
sure.
Kevin episode.
Let me know.
It's a joy.
Yeah.
We love
Pleasure is
you.
mine.
Yeah,
love you.
we love
love
you.
all of you.
Handsome mug.
Will you look into your camera and say that was us?
That was us.
That Was Us is filmed at Rabbit Grin Studios and produced by Rabbit Grin Productions. Music by Taylor Goldsmith and Griffin Goldsmith.
Da-da-da-dum, da-da-dum. That was us.